Why should you leap? Why should you reinvent and rebuild your information systems? And why should it be on SAP S/4HANA basis? We're going to explore this question and also what we're leaping into and how we can be landing and start and hit the ground running afterwards. So first, before we go to the why and answer that question, why not? We've heard a lot of our customers bring very good arguments why they haven't been able to move yet. They've invested millions, tens of millions, in some cases hundreds of millions in their existing platforms, built on ERP systems, ECC, and then dedicated satellite systems covering different other technologies. Their business is very busy with strategic initiatives, and they feel like this is an IT topic that is pressed upon them, and they don't have time for that. And many also say we have decades worth of custom developments that we have built, and if you even come close to it, it will break down. So don't touch it. It's running right now. But I'm going to argue that there's a very good reason to not stick to the old ways anymore and really make that leap. If we look at Schumpeter's theory of innovation cycles, long-term innovation cycles, MIT's interpretation of this, which tells us that we are at the point where the sixth wave of innovation is overtaking the fifth. The fifth wave was driven by electronics, telecommunications, the rise of new media, and the start of digitization. Well, we're right now at a point, it's basically once in a career that you have these points. The last cycle was about 30 years. The next one might be shorter because they keep getting shorter. But this is a unique point in time. This is a time where the applications on top of mass digitization drive completely new business value. This is the start of a new era with new winners and obviously also new losers. If we take a look at the top 10 highest valued companies in the world, throughout this fifth wave of innovation, you can see that we started with banking, oil and gas, automotive, steel, these types of companies. Then we had this rise of electronics. Microsoft, of course, General Electric has a lot of electronics background as well. Cisco, NTT, and still some of the old oil and gas, and also we start to see a rise of some consumer goods companies into this top 10. By 2010, we see that electronics has made a much bigger impact on the top 10. We still see some oil and gas, but a lot more direct consumer connected companies like J&J, Nestle, Walmart. And I added to this, so these first three columns don't come from me. I added to this the top 10 of Q4 2020, end of last year. We see a completely different breed of companies come into the top 10. We see an Alphabet, a Facebook, companies that basically just monetize information. They don't move anything around. We see an Amazon, we see an Alibaba, companies that have used mass digitization to build completely new business models. And of course, we see the electronics companies that allow the consumption of information. So suddenly, we see that most of the companies in the top 10 are driven by mass digitization. One other notable entry here is Tesla, which of course rides on the need of the world for a more sustainable and circular economy and sustainable energy. So what are we leaping into? This is a very exciting new world. We have all kinds of innovations coming up. Computer vision, facial recognition, of course, cloud computing, drones, 5G, augmented design, intelligent spaces. We also have some more chemicals and engineering topics, nuclear fusion, sustainable energy in general, graphene, different materials. But most of these topics that you see here are really driven on information, on mass digitization and information technologies. These topics, by the way, don't come from me. They come from McKinsey, Forbes, Gartner. These are things that are really driving value in this sixth wave. The winners of the new era will be driving on these topics. Now, what does it mean for you? What does it mean for us? What does it mean for business information technology systems and the business processes that build on that? I think you have to really command three key topics and understand three concepts to be a winner in this game. First of all, digital twins. The world around us is being reflected in ever more granularity and ever more real-time updates into digital twins. Where we used to have in the old days some master data and some transaction data, we now have digital twins, incredibly rich representations of our value chain. And that is what you as a company need to control. You need to know everything about your customers, your suppliers, your products, your assets. Everything that impacts that world needs to be represented as a digital twin with an incredibly rich information depth around that. It is like going from black and white pictures to 4K video with sound. That it's a quantum leap in terms of the richness of the information that you need to be able to have control over, and you need to be able to use that information and translate it to your physical value flow. The second key concept is the digital core. In order to be able to innovate on top of the mass digitization and using that mass digitization, you have to make sure that your high volume business, that your business as usual runs on autopilot. You cannot have your resources, your people, be dedicated to just keeping the lights on and the normal business flowing. That needs to be fully automated with, of course, exception handling that automatically notifies or even automatically fixes problems when they arise. And this is key because without that digital core, you will not have the resources available to look at the third pillar, the innovation platform. You need to have a platform with which you can consume the explosion of innovative technologies and applications of digitization that are springing up everywhere. You need to be able to consume artificial intelligence solutions from the cloud. You need to be able to connect to networks of other companies, be it logistic service providers, be it suppliers of your assets with rich data on engineering data on those assets. You need to be able to connect and consume that information, consume that innovation, and translate it into your digital core. You need to be able to have that impact from the innovation onto your physical flow and the value flow of your company, and translate it back into your digital core, automate the processes that now run the new normal, and these cycles are becoming shorter and shorter. So you really need that digital core to be very strong and solid and flexible and open so that it can consume innovation in a constant manner and translate it back into really fully automated processes. The other thing that is important to note about the digital core itself is that it is, of course, one of the key sources of information that enrich your digital twins. You as a company obviously have to be in full command of the information that you have within your company about your digital twins. And that's not even a given in most companies today. So let's take this from the abstract level to a little bit more specific. Let's look at a typical example. We saw earlier that companies that have a close connection to the end customer are coming very high up in the top 10 of most highly valued companies. Well, this is a direct effect of mass digitization and the innovation we're talking about. This is because the end customer is seeing the digital twins of your products because they're available on the internet in a richness and in depth that just wasn't there before. So many companies that were sitting in the middle that were basically translating from manufacturing companies to the end customer are becoming bypassed by the consumer just seeing that information directly. This is what the whole move to B2C business and e-commerce is about. But what does that really mean, moving and jumping onto this innovation? It means that if you had a traditional supply chain where you purchased raw materials, you transported those to your warehouses and into your factories. You produced goods. You sent those out via some central distribution centers to a wholesaler, who then brought it into a retail store. Yeah. Now suddenly, if that was your world of digital twins within which you and physical value flow within which you operated, you now suddenly have to have your end customer as a digital twin. You need to understand their behavior, their needs, their tendencies in a very timely manner and in a very rich depth, because you're communicating directly with that end customer via your internet presence. Of course, you need to connect to a web shop and have some order management now based on single orders. So the granularity at which you're working becomes much, much higher. And you need to know about the digital twin of your own products. You need to know what inventory you have, not just in all of your warehouses, but also in the stores, because that customer might pick up from store rather than being delivered to. And it goes on and on. So the whole value chain completely changes based on leveraging the rich information in those digital twins. And you have to turn these processes into a fully automated flowing stream in your digital core. And this is just one example. There are many other examples. Asset maintenance. Obviously, you want to connect to the manufacturer of the assets with which you produce your goods, and have the engineering data coming from them, including the updates in a digital form, so that your maintenance efficiency goes up dramatically. You can think of your people. Yeah? You need a digital twin representation of the people that walk around in your factory, because you might want to be able to take care of them if they are in dangerous situations. You might want to have some sensors sensing chemicals or other things, and have a connected worker scenario where you can follow people in real time as they are operating in your business. And so it's endless. The applications of these are coming on a continuous role of innovation that you need to be able to consume and turn into a physical and real value flow to your customers. Now, how do we get there? How do we land safely into this after taking this leap? It's not all that complicated, really. First of all, we have to separate commodity from differentiating. We need to separate business as usual from the real innovation. Then we need to take that commodity business, the standard processes, and simplify them. It's not enough to just move them onto a new technology. We have to simplify them and we have to automate them. And this is a key point that is often forgotten. It's easy to jump onto the innovation. Oh, there's something in machine learning, there's something in artificial intelligence, we can do some robotics, process automation. That's all great, and that is what is going to drive value. But if you don't simplify and automate your standard business, the high volume business, you will not have the bandwidth to consume this continuous flow of innovation that is happening. So this point of simplifying and automating is a key step that we need to take moving into this digital core platform. The other reason why that is so important is that, as mentioned before, the digital core is one of the very important sources of information for your digital twins. The next step, third one, is actually the most exciting one. It is identifying the new technologies, the new innovations on top of these technologies that can really drive success. There we need to look at your business strategy, at what the industry is doing, what is happening there, the technology SAP is providing, and other technologies that are out there and how they can combine with your business processes, with your strategic direction, and with the digital core that will typically be based on the SAP solutions. So when we've identified these key innovations, when we've looked at how to simplify and automate and standardize, then we are ready to take that leap. So I'm really convinced that this is a unique time. This time where the sixth wave of innovation is overtaking the fifth wave. In the fifth wave, we have supported our customers with global rollouts, with ERP systems, with line of business systems, and so on. We've been part of the automation of individual processes and the buildup of the basis on which the digitization of your own processes within the four walls of your companies has happened. That is a very strong foundation. But it's also a foundation that we kind of have to leave behind and we need to review. We have to make that jump and we have to simplify and fully automate them. We can still leverage the experiences we have there. We can still leverage, of course, the processes that are running well, but we do need to bring them to a new level of automation. It's a bit like your garage, right? After a year or two, you're going to have to do a real cleanup because it just piles up with stuff that was useful at some point in time, but it's just really not the winning factor for the future. So that's the homework we need to do. And then we can focus on identifying those winning innovations, making sure we have the platform to consume them and turn them into your digital core, into real value. And that is what I'm really looking forward to seeing today and tomorrow, is how our colleagues at SAP, other companies like Microsoft or SUSE, how they have been taking this leap and how they are supporting this leap into a completely new era of the sixth wave of innovation. And in that wave, we have obviously from Westernacher want to be your partner, just like we were in the fifth, to make that jump and to land safely and hit the ground running. Very much looking forward to this. And I hope you enjoy the next speakers, which I had a peek preview and I'm very excited about because we have some very interesting information coming your way.